story begins with a boy named Rakuro Hazutomo who defeats the Dark Lord. A girl named Fieria is standing there with him and says she is very happy that he killed the Lord. Then the boy says he is very anxiously waiting for this moment. He plunges into the air, attacks the girl, and kills her. Then the hero Hazutomo becomes very happy, saying that finally he finishes the game and takes his revenge on the girl. Hazutomo is mad about games and is a big player in VR games. He is known as Trash Game Hunter. He gets ready and tells his mother that he's going to school. Hazutomo goes to his school, and a girl named Rie is waiting for him to talk. She thinks that she is talking to him about the game. When he comes near her, at the same time, Hazutomi's friend comes there, and she can't manage to talk to him. In the evening, a game store is shown. The gaming owner starts a new game. Rai-chan comes there and starts looking for Hazutomo. The owner says the person is not there for whom she's looking. Rai-chan is very blushing to hear this and says no. She's just looking at the games. The owner says that he brought a long game, and she doesn't know that he will come to the ship soon. They are talking about him, and suddenly Hazutomo comes there. Rai-chan disappears from there when she sees Hazutomo. Hazutomo tells the owner he completed the game and has come to get a new one. He wants something different, and the owner gives him a new game named Shangri-La Frontier. Rai-chan is looking at him from behind. The owner suggests that Rie has also tried this game, so she manages to talk with Hazutomo. Hazutomo goes home and looks at the game on his tab. He searches the history of the game, and then he starts his game. A login screen comes in front of him, and he selects his job in the game and designs his character. He lays on the bed, and the game starts. His name in the game is Sanruko, and he is in a forest. He runs toward a tree and climbs on it. He says he doesn't think that the game is very smart, and his biography is also very good. He likes his map and says there's a forest and also a town. He thinks he has to explore the town. Sanruko looks down towards the tree and climbs down. He says the landing is also very good, and he doesn't think that the game is very amazing. He checks his status, and he feels something there and is attentive. A goblin is shown, and he attacks Sanruko, but he dodges his attack and takes out his weapon. He thinks his fight will start in the game very soon. The goblin attacks with his axe, but Rakuro cuts him to pieces, and he is killed there. He checks his level and learns that he is on level 2. Goblin's axe drops there, and Rakuro looks at his axe. He says it can be used as a weapon, and his status plate comes into his eyes. Then he thinks there's something in the bushes. He sees the eyes of a monster in the bushes in the form of a rabbit. He thinks it's a very big monster, and he will face difficulty defeating him. Rakuro uses his weapons, and the monster attacks him. A rabbit is also shown there. Rakuro dodges the attack, but the tree is destroyed by the attack of the monster. Rakuro thinks this is very strong. He looks at the knife in the monster's hands. He thinks his knife looks very strong. He dodges all his attacks and himself attacks on him, but nothing happens to him. Then Rakuro attacks him and he is injured and killed there. His level went up from 2 to 4. Rakuro thinks that the monster doesn't drop any weapons, but he needs them. After this, he can use his knife skills. Now he has to find the rabbit and more skills to level up. He says, let's go find the monster to take both of his knives. He thinks there's no bug in the game, and he becomes happy that he can enjoy a game without any bugs. He goes from there and comes across an oak monster. He fights with him and kills him, but he has nothing. He goes out to search for the rabbit. BTW, looking at his skill points and increasing his luck, he finds that bunny there and also gets the knife. Rakuro thinks he couldn't get these knives, but he increases his luck grade and succeeds in getting the knives. He says he has many skills, and now he has to go toward the town and look at the map there. Then he came across a snake monster on the way and was ready to fight with him. The starting town is shown, and a knight comes into it. He looks at the townspeople and thinks Rakuro may not come there. Rai-chan is shown, who is playing a game and thinks that she misses him. The knight is Rai-chan. The scene shifts to Rakuro, where he tosses out his wrappings to fight the snake monster and dodges his attacks. But Hazutomo couldn't attack him, and he thinks he has to attack the monster to kill him. Kazurumi attacks with his blade, but it breaks because his skin is very hard. Then he takes out the knives that he took from the rabbit monster and attacks him. The snake monster casts his poison on Hazutomo, taking damage every 4 seconds. The monster says he need not worry because he will not be defeated by him so easily. Hazutomo attacks his tail again and injures him badly. He cries loudly. He takes a flight toward the sky, and he falls in front of Snake's mouth and hits his skull with his blade. Hazutomo thinks he takes this monster very lightly. They fight a lot with each other, and the monster is killed at last. Hazutomo's level dropped from 14 to 12. He takes the tools dropped by the monster. He sees that his numbers are decreasing, so he runs fast toward the city to buy an antidote to save himself. Another game player named Reiji is talking to Maya. They see Sunraku running. They tell him to go toward the white building and book a bed for him. He thanks them and runs toward the building. He borrows a room and goes to his room. He lays down in the bed, and his HP goes from 1 to 0, and he dies in the game due to poison. Then he thinks the game is amazing, but he is defeated after reaching his highest level. He thinks to restart the game again, and try not to die in the game. He also decides to thank the people who helped him in the game and tell them about the rich points. The same city is shown a few times when Hazutome restarts the game. He says he is roaming in the city for the first time, and he needs some weapons and other things that are useful in fighting. Then he becomes the top player, but the people around him start looking at him and wondering who he is. He says he has to purchase some dresses for him first. He purchases armor that fits him and goes to a weapon shop. But he doesn't like the weapons in that shop, and the shopman says he can have his weapons if he brings material to him. Hazutome agrees, adding that the man tells him the location. He goes to the location and starts digging, but he cannot find anything except stones. There's a lot of mud and he becomes very angry, and then a big frog comes there. He starts playing and throws mud at Hazumoto, who becomes angry and kills him with his axe. He wonders what kind of mud it is that he can't walk on. He also sees some other players and returns to the shop. He gives him materials and sees a list of weapons. He says to the blacksmith that he wants a double weapon. He gives him an excellent dagger, and he is very satisfied with it. The shopkeeper tells him not to go out in town at night in that armor, because the monsters become very powerful at that time. He says okay, but actually he wants to check his new weapons. He says he has some new weapons and can fight. The same snake monster is shown there, and the girl named Rai-chan also reaches out to say they're the ones who love Hazutome. She reaches there in search of him. She fights with the monster, uses her attack against him, and cuts him into pieces. Hazutome fights with the red-cap goblin. He enjoys himself a lot while fighting, but sometime later, he observes that the goblin is very powerful, but he helps him level up and learn new skills. He dodges his attack, but the goblin calls his other friends. Hazutome says it's not fair that he calls his other friends, and he thinks he underestimated this game. Hazutome thinks he enjoyed it a lot, but now he confesses that it's a very dangerous game. Then a unique monster, Lysagon the Night Slayer, comes there, and Hazumoto becomes very afraid to know this because he is standing in front of a unique monster. He prepares his blades to fight against him. Then the scene shifts to the rooms, where the game is created. The monitor screen is on, and it shows all the players who are playing the game. Rai-chan comes to Riji and Maya, who helped Rakuro, and asks about him. Mia is about to attack Rai thinking she is a monster, but Riji tells her that she is a player. The girl says she's very weird and dangerous. Then explain that her players have a dangerous look, but they are players. They tell her about Hazutome, saying that he was full of poison, and he went to the second dial. Mia says his face is like a bird, but Ryaji guesses that he has changed his costume and wears armor. Iris thinks he has beaten the snake monster. She thanks Mei and Reiji for giving her information and goes from there after giving them a teleporter as a gift. Reiji tells Maya about the unique monsters. He says they are very dangerous and unbeatable. There's a need for a top-ranked person to kill these monsters, but there's no one who kills them, and they are very rare in that town. He also says that 3 million people play this game, but no one kills or beats monsters because they're difficult to kill. The scene shifts to Rakuro, where the monster Lysagon the Night Slayer comes close to him, and Rakuro uses his shield to save himself from attack. He also attacks the monster, but nothing happens to him. They both fought with each other for a long time. Suddenly, the monster starts disappearing, comes from behind, and attacks him. Rakuro also attacks him continuously, but nothing happens. Rakuro says he's enjoying this game very much. He thanks God for giving him a chance to fight with that monster. Lysagon bites Rakuro and kills him, applying Lysagon's curse to him. When morning starts, Rakuro is lying on the bed and reading instructions about Lysagon's curse. He comes out without his shirt and yells. One day he will come there after becoming a top player, and he will defeat him. He checks his HP and it's only 1. That means he will no longer be alive and will die if he faces any attacks. He comes back to his bed. Then he said that the marks on his body would not disappear, and he became very upset. He can't make any attacks, and she too has marks on his body. Rakuro becomes very agitated due to the marks, and he can't remove them. He says it's a curse from that monster. He has to meet the person who can remove that curse from him. He was grieving and went out of his room and started crying. He says the game is useless. People look at him carefully and say he may become mad. Then he aids himself and says he has to do a lot of training and seek skills to fight the unique monster. He has to level up. He looks at his level, which is 28. He thinks about determining his level, but the value is very low. It's only 6. That means he can't fight, but his luck is 65, which is good. He survives at 1 HP only due to his luck. Then he sees a rabbit there, but it's not like the others he killed. He thinks it's a unique monster, and he can seek skills by killing him. The rabbit starts running. Rabbit enters that gate and calls him. Rakuro knows about the gate and says before starting the game that he knows about it. By entering the gate, he goes to the other side and can see the whole game. In short, the gate tours him through the whole game. He opens the door and is a little upset. A new world is waiting for him, and he thinks he can seek unique skills and knowledge there. But the twist is that every mobster there has a level of 80, but Rakuro's level is 28. He sees there's a lot of rabbits, and he says it's a rabbit world. Then the rabbit comes to him and says they welcome him in this world. He becomes stunned and wonders how the rabbit can talk to him. The rabbit says he's a very big fan of him. In the rabbit world, everyone talks about him. Rabbit says to Rakuro that he's very weak, but he challenges a unique monster for fighting. They both fight with each other very well. Rakuro says it's not the first time that he has seen a rabbit while talking, but what's he doing? Then the rabbit says to him that their mother wants to meet with him. Rakuro says he kills many rabbits there, if they want revenge on him. Rabbit says his name is Emo. They reached the main headquarters, and Rakuro became afraid to see the master because their boss was very dangerous.